Have you ever wondered why some things you learn just stick, like forever? But then other stuff, it just vanishes the second the test is over. Well, that's exactly what we're digging into today. We're talking about the huge difference between just studying and truly acquiring something.
Oh man, we've all been there, right? You spend hours, maybe all night, cramming dates, formulas, vocab words, whatever it is. And yeah, you ace the test. But then, a week later, it's like it never even happened. Poof, gone. That whole cram and forget cycle, that's what we're breaking down right now.
And look, this isn't just some academic debate for a classroom. The source material we're looking at calls this, and get this, the single most crucial change that's happening in education right now. We are literally talking about a quiet revolution and how we even define what learning is.
Okay, so what is this big shift, really? Well, think of it like this. It's a move away from treating our brains like they're just filing cabinets, Just a place to stuff a bunch of facts. Instead, it's about building something more like a workshop, a place filled with real, usable skills you can actually do something with.
So here's the core difference, right? Studying is all about learning information, but acquisition, that's about the ability to actually use that information, to internalize it and make it a real part of you. So let's dig into what that actually looks like, and we'll start with the old way.
All right, first up, let's talk about something most of us know all too well, the traditional study model. This is probably the one you remember from your school days.
So, in this study model, the goal is super simple. Just learn the information. That's it. Knowledge itself is the finish line. If you can repeat the facts back on a test, then hey, job done. But you have to ask yourself, is that really learning?
This whole approach really has four main traits. First, it values just having the information more than being competent with it. Second, it's all about memorization, not authentic use. Third, it pretty much guarantees you only get a surface-level understanding. And finally, it puts the teacher, not the student, at the center of everything. Let's see how that actually plays out.
And yep, we're right back to that cram and forget cycle we talked about. See, when information isn't connected to any kind of practical, real-world use, our brains basically tag it as temporary data. It's like, okay, this is important for Friday's test, and after that, we can just delete it.
And this really gets to the core problem with the whole study model. The knowledge you get is, well, it's brittle. It just exists in a little classroom bubble. So maybe you know the formula by heart, but then you're faced with a real-world problem that needs it, and you're just totally lost.
Think about the classroom itself. In this model, learning is totally passive. The teacher is up at the front kind of broadcasting information, and the student's job is just to sit there and absorb it. It's a total one-way street. There's really no room for you to explore or discover things on your own.
Okay, so if that's the old way, what's the new way? What's the alternative? Well, this brings us to the acquisition model. And this is a completely different way of thinking that totally reframes the entire purpose of learning.
Now, here's the key difference. It's not just about knowing about a topic. It's about developing what are called integrated competencies. That might sound a little academic, but all it means is having the real ability to use your knowledge in all kinds of different situations, everything from solving a math problem to figuring out a social situation.
And just like before, we can break this down into four key traits. But you're going to see, these are basically the polar opposite of the study model. This approach is all about developing actual skills through real-world use, which leads to a deep, lasting understanding, all in an environment that's driven by the student.
So let's make this real. Instead of just memorizing a list of vocabulary words for a quiz, imagine you're using that new language to actually debate a topic you're really passionate about. See the difference? You're not just learning the words, you're using them. You're making them your own.
And honestly, this is the real superpower of the acquisition model. Unlike that brittle, siloed knowledge you get from studying, what you learn here is flexible, it's robust. You can actually take a concept you learned in a science project and apply it to an art class, or even to a problem you're trying to solve at home.
And in this world, the student is in the driver's seat. You're not just a passenger on some pre-planned bus tour. No, you're the one managing projects, making decisions, and really taking ownership of your own learning journey. And believe me, that personal investment, it makes all the difference.
All right, so we've looked at both approaches. Now it's time to put them side by side. Let's really see what this looks like, head to head.
I mean, this table just lays it all out so clearly. Just look at the primary goal.
For the study model, it's learning information. But for acquisition, it's developing capable, conscious human beings. Wow, that is a massive shift. And everything else just flows from that one big idea. Memorization turns into authentic use, short-term surface-level memory becomes deep, long-term understanding, and all those fragmented subjects start to look like the interconnected real world. It's a completely different perspective on everything.
So when you really boil it all down, this whole acquisition model forces us to ask a pretty big question. What is the point of education anyway? It's arguing that it's not just about filling our heads with facts. It's about something so much bigger.
And this is really the ultimate takeaway, right here. The goal is developing capable, conscious human beings. It's not about creating good test takers, it's about helping to cultivate people who can think for themselves, who can solve problems in the real world, and who can make a positive difference. And look, this isn't just some nice-sounding theory. This has huge, real-world implications for our schools, for our kids, and honestly, even for how we think about our own learning and personal growth as adults.
Which brings us to the final, big question I want to leave you with. When you look at the world around you, your own education back in the day, your kids' schools now, maybe even the training you get at work, which model do you see? Are we being set up for study or for acquisition? Are we being prepared for a test or are we being prepared for life? The answer to that question? Well, it could change everything.